Hello, welcome to another episode of Garden's Table with Rose, and I am Rose. So I'm out here to do just a mini update, not a full garden tour, but I want to do a mini update because some things are in bloom and other things are going out, and if I wait, it'll be too late. So it is July 8th, early Sunday morning, and I am gardening in Zone 6A, Kalamazoo, Michigan. And the garden is kind of at peak, really. I think all the lilies are blooming. Now, all these white lilies you see in front, I transplanted from right by the house. And as you can see, they still bloomed. And I transplanted them late. They were already pretty tall. And some of them had buds on them, but they still bloomed. Yay. And they will continue to multiply. Those white lilies, I don't know the variety, but they are multiplying like crazy. But anywho, over here in this side garden, the new section, what's going on is the lavender is in full bloom, and I'm not going to get too close to it because there are a lot of pollinators on it, a lot of bees and everything else, and I'm not trying to get stung, but you can see that. So there are 4 big lavender plants just kind of in an arch here in a semicircle, along with some of the lilies again that I relocated, and they're just big and bushy, and they have pollinators all over them. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, any of the bees, but there's tons of bees and all of those things. Lots and lots of bumblebees, which I am very happy about. Probably some other kind of bees, maybe some wasps. And lots of dragonflies are just flitting about. So I'm very happy to see pollinators. I'm very happy to plant things that they like. The only downside is obviously I cannot spend too much time in these areas because they're everywhere, and also I can't spray while things are in bloom, and so unfortunately that gives the opportunity for pests to come, like Japanese beetles, which have started. They've been out about 2 weeks here now. And so they decimate plants. They just chew them all up, all the leaves. And so I do treat for grubs to try to prevent some of the Japanese beetles, which helps, but the neighbors don't treat for grubs, so that's, there's only so much I can do. My Limelight Prime hydrangeas over here are just starting to put out flowers. There's one there. So I'm excited about that. And then I got lots of gladiolas, it looks like, that have returned. Hopefully they actually bloom. So yeah, that's what's going on in the side garden here. Now, the other thing I just wanted to point out, I'll walk over to the larger side here. Oh, look at that. There's a red rose blooming. My roses did not do well that are in this area. They got a lot of infections, fungal infections, along with all the other stuff I've talked about. But they're just not doing well, so I cut them all down, like to the ground pretty much, pretty hard, to see if they can maybe come back, return next year, and do better. Now, I always mix up the name of this flower. I don't know if it's liatris or something to that effect. But all I do know is that it is starting to bloom. And it blooms, let me see if I can find one that actually has bloomed. These just little white flowers. And I put it over here originally because this was a moon garden when I started. And so it was all whites and greens over here, but now I've added some color. Now everything's kind of mixed together. So but I like that. It's tall and upright. I like tall and upright. And look, I got a little apple. If it survives without any major bug damage, maybe I can eat it once it's ready. I am still battling the little chives. Man, I think it will take years for me to get rid of all those chives from this area. I come out and pull them just about every day and they just keep popping up. So yeah, I can't say it enough, I will not plant chives that go to seed. So there are decorative chives, alliums and stuff like that, they're fine, but I planted actual chives that you would eat and let it go to seed, and it has been a nightmare since that has happened. I have a lovely moonrock hydrangea there that's actually starting to bloom. Starts off a very dark green and then it'll fade to white and probably pink. And this 9-bark is still growing strong. Look how tall it is now. Oh, I love that one. Anyway, when I came over here, I digress. I came over here for two things. One, the window boxes. Let me get a little closer. I am so happy to see that they are surviving. And actually the little flowers, I don't know what those are. It's some kind of common bedding annual that I got on clearance from my nursery center. And they are growing, whatever they are doing well. The ferns are doing well in here, so I'm very happy with the window boxes, and hopefully that lasts through the summer, because I don't think, other than I might put some mums in there because they're usually pretty inexpensive in the fall, but outside of that I don't plan to put anything else in there. This bougainvillea is doing well. I have it here in this little clay pot, and that's because it likes it dry, what I read. And then I have it kind of staked up to my hydrangea here, and I put it in this little pot because I have to take it in the winter. That is a hot weather plant, but they had these huge ones at the nursery, and I think I put a picture of one in the last video. I'll put another picture because they were so massive and so beautiful. I'm sure they take them in the greenhouse in the winter and all that, and I won't have anything to that extent because that would be too big to move. I mean, they were in giant pots, but I do like the color. I love the color and the papery blooms on that, so I will be taking that inside. Over here, the crocosmia is blooming. That is really why I wanted to come over here. And as you can see, let's see if I can zoom in a bit. Oh, look at that. The hummingbirds love that flower. I have seen several of them here already. They come for it for sure, and it is just a beautiful flower. I didn't like it when I first planted it. I thought it was too bright red, but now that my garden has filled in and it's you know, kind of blended in with all these other big things, I really like it, and it actually goes very nicely with that yellow yarrow back there. And you all know my feelings about yarrow. I have a love-hate relationship with yarrow, but oh, it's blending in great. And then over here, some of these hydrangeas are also starting to bloom. These two here are ruby slippers. It's an oak leaf hydrangea, and in the fall it turns a deep red color, the foliage, so I really like those. And then other hydrangeas are in here getting ready to bloom. I don't know if that's another moon rock. I got two pufferfish hydrangeas somewhere in there that are starting to bloom. That big poofy one is an old school Annabelle. It flops quite a bit once it gets large and full of bloom, so I often have to support that one. And then there's more of the crocosmia here, as you can see. So let me zoom it out. So yeah, that's really the main thing I wanted to point out up here in the front garden is the crocosmia, which is and my poor little that's either an apricot or nectarcot tree. It is pushing up growth from the bottom. The one that just died, I mean, it literally just died. It started growing at the beginning of the season, pushing out leaves, and then all the leaves died and it just died, which happens sometimes with plants and trees. You never know. So luckily it's pushing up some new growth so I can start over with a baby tree and go from there. The Japanese beetles are really tearing up my cherry blossom tree over there. They seem to be attacking the top, which is tall, but yeah, that's all I really wanted to touch on here in the front yard. And I'm gonna add on a little bit of footage at the back of the backyard, because there are some things back there that I do want to touch on. Just a couple of things, because as you know, that's my orphan garden. More oak leaf hydrangeas in the front of this little fence there that are blooming. One's a Gatsby Yellow and one is Gatsby Pink. And I even have more of the lilies back here. So yeah. And these hydrangeas here, there's one there and there's one on the other side right there that matches it. Those are Little Lime, I believe they're called. And like I said, I'm very happy to see that my beautyberry bushes are returning. They're growing. They died all the way back to the ground, but they put out these berries that turn a beautiful purple color in the fall. So yeah, everything else over here seems to be doing pretty good. My peppers are still very short. Here we are in July, and I put some of my hot peppers up here. These little ones, you can see there's on there. They're growing, but they're just growing slow, and they don't have no peppers on them. Now I do have a few peppers on the ones in the backyard, interestingly. Yeah. Alright, so let's go to the backyard next. We're supposed to have thunderstorms today, which is great because it's been so hot that I will be very happy. These are flushing out again, these geraniums. I keep cutting them back, or deadheading them, I should say. And then they'll flush out again after a couple of weeks, which I'm very happy about. The spireas have finished their bloom cycle and all the pollinators have left this area. And this is probably one of my favorite hydrangeas, this Sublime. I just love the shape of it. I love the smooth leaf. I love the greenness. Like they come in really green, and they do fade a little bit lighter, but they still maintain a tinge of green. And I don't believe these ones turn pink at all. I believe they kind of just stay this greenish white. Lots of white coneflower over here, and then this pink one, I think that was white when it started. I think it reverted or something. It turned pink because I did not plant a pink coneflower over here that I know of. All right, somebody's starting their leaf blower, and then there are some annuals in here that I need to get out, and I need to cut back a couple of things. Somebody's starting up their leaf blower, so let me mosey it on away from this front yard. My sedum rock garden is looking great. The sedum is actually flowering. So this is all sedum, hens and chicks, that kind of thing, and that's because it's all rocks there, landscape rocks, and so that was kind of the only thing that would grow there. We're in the backyard, and excuse the clutter of the backyard, as I always say, but look at all these tomatoes. Oh my gosh. Now these are cherry tomatoes on these plants here. I think there may be three tomato plants in here, 2 or 3, and they're just going wild. I may even have to cut them back because it's going to be way too much. But there's tons of green tomatoes on all of my tomato plants. Still green, very green, still small. I planted a bunch of herbs in this empty bin that have been sitting here for a while that I got from my garden center. I just needed a few things, so I just got a tray of herbs and I mixed in some nasturtiums because those are edible, the nasturtiums, and they're pretty. So and they deter certain pests. So I put most of the herbs in pots or containers so that I can harvest them easier and keep them under watch. More tomatoes in there, more tomatoes in here. That one is peppers and basil. More tomatoes, and mint is mixed in with some of these as well. The mint is from last year. It overwinters pretty well here. That one has, this is a full-size tomato. I'm not sure of the variety, but it has plenty of tomatoes on it. I only planted really eating tomatoes this time. I don't plan to can anything. I don't need to can any tomatoes. I still have tomatoes in my pantry. My Lysianthus is finally getting some height on it. This is a cut flower. It is actually my favorite cut flower. It's beautiful. It's very hard to grow from seed, so I always buy plugs that I order online from Farmer Bailey. And then in here also I believe are asters. I believe that's what that is. The one other thing I want to point out back here, I shouldn't say one other thing, there's a few other things, but one thing that I want to point out is over here. This is like side of the house where the air conditioner is. It's like all sand and a mess. It's not an area you would grow anything, but I still put some Astilbe bare roots in here and a couple of hosta bare roots, and lo and behold, I fenced it off so my dogs don't mess with it. But lo and behold, look how beautiful they've gotten. Now I planted these, I believe it was maybe not the last fall, but the fall before that. So this is year 2. The first year they came in and they were very small, and now they've just grown so big. And even the flowers on this house are beautiful. Look at those purple blooms. I mean, they are really pretty. Literally, I would actually cut these and use them in a bouquet, which actually I might, now that I'm thinking of it. You know, a lot of people will just cut the flowers off of hostas because they're usually not that pretty, but those are, I think, really nice. So I have my little series of 3 Astilbes and 2 hostas over here, and I'm just surprised they would grow in that area because, like I said, that's a low quality area. Now my potatoes are almost ready for harvest. I can tell this because they're starting to die back. So they're supposed to look like that. All of this is supposed to die and kind of look, you know, wilt down. And then when that happens, I will empty out the pots and harvest my potatoes. I've been doing just a little bit of pulling things out over here. This bed is now empty, and then I put herbs in this one, so I have a variety of herbs going on there. My second batch of the season for sure, because herbs will bolt quickly, and you just keep replanting them is what I do, unless it's a perennial herb. But stuff like basil and parsley and dill and all of that, I just keep replanting. Strawberries are done for now, but they may do a second flush because these are everbearing, so they usually put out some more towards the fall. This eggplant, although you can see the leaves are being eaten by pests, it does have eggplants on it. Oh, down in there, it's like 3 of them or so, and I have some pepper plants in there with it. And you know, I really don't need a lot of produce. That is one reason why I grow most of my edible crops in containers, because it's just me, and I can only eat so many eggplants at one time. I only want so many tomatoes per week. It really, most of this I just grow for fun because I like gardening and I like growing stuff, but really I don't really even, you know, really I could get by with 1 or 2 tomato plants and 1 or 2 peppers and a cucumber and call it a day in terms of the volume of food I can eat at one time, unless I'm canning or something, which I'm not doing this year. So over here, let's see, we have been harvesting gooseberries. A couple of my friends have harvested some gooseberries. I didn't need any this year because I still have plenty of gooseberry jam from last year. I do have blueberries over here that are not ready yet, but they're there. And this is the first time I've gotten this many blueberries. This is the first time my plants have been this mature. So as you can see, there are a lot of blueberries there. I have a lot more plants that I put in just this past fall, so it'll be a while. And then here, all these raspberry plants are still very young. I put these in, I believe, last fall, and they're growing, but I don't think they have any berries on them yet. You know, I wasn't expecting any until about year 3. That seems to be when I get berries. Although this one has a couple of small ones. I doubt that it's anything harvestable because they look just very tiny. But I just put these in, last fall. So in there is mixed some cutting flowers, probably some Sweet William. I think I've harvested out of there. It's kind of gone over now, but a lot of this in here will come out because they were just cut flowers, and they The Sweet William is a biennial here, so you just have to keep planting that one. And there may be a couple other cut flowers. Now let's go back here and look at. There's lots of straw flower blooming right now. I need to come out here and cut it. Oh, beautiful. I'll probably cut flowers tomorrow because it's supposed to be thunderstorms all day, and I want these flowers to all get some water, so that way when I cut them in the morning, hopefully they'll be. I love straw flower. It's beautiful, and it's very papery. I don't know if you can hear this. Very papery, and so it dries beautifully. It maintains a vibrant color. It's beautiful in not only cut flower bouquets, but I like to use it in dry flower wreaths or any kind of dry flower arrangement you want to make. Now these are the seed heads from Nigella. Another one that works really well for a dried flower arrangement. If you want to cut it and dry it. I don't know that I'm going to cut any this year. I cut some last year, but I don't think I will this year. Let's see. I was looking for zucchinis and squash. I'm sure they'll start coming. Once they start coming, they don't seem to stop. So in here, this is a yellow one, as you can see. This is a little yellow one, yellow squash. So that one's doing well. And then I did see some baby zucchinis out here when I was out the other day. Oh, there they are. Down in there. So I kept it simple. That's all I need is one yellow variety and one green variety. Those are the two that I eat. And so that's that. I had planted some winter squash, but it did not come up. So much for that this year. My cucumbers are doing okay. They're still small, but at least they have flowers on them, so I should have cucumbers soon. There's also like some honeydew over here, and I think a watermelon, which seem to be growing, but they're growing slow, and so I'm concerned that it won't be enough time. That's the problem I always have with any kind of melon in my area. When I try to grow it, I have problems because the season doesn't seem to be long enough for mine to come to fruition. It's not long enough for me to get ripe fruit. I've gotten a couple of watermelons over the years, but you know, I spend the whole season grow the vine and I might get one off of it before it gets cold, and that's that. All my blackberries here, I've trimmed them down. They have all set fruit. There's a lot of blackberries going on here, but none of them are, of course, ripe yet, but they will be. And I love it that these are thornless, because I don't like messing with thorns. I do, like I said, have a couple of thorned varieties down there, because they only had thorn varieties, and I think one is a boysenberry and the other one may be like a marionberry, which is a little bit of a different taste. I like them. This incredible hydrangea, I came out here and cut a bunch of them and took them in the house, and just trimmed this back because I want to keep my walkway here. But it's beautiful. This is called the Incredible by Proven Winners. I had a blush. This is the white. The blush one died, unfortunately, so I hope to get a new one. But they're really expensive right now. I looked at the blush one, and they were expensive for us hydrangea. And I'm talking a little one, like a 4-inch pot. So I'm gonna have to wait on that one until it's more reasonable. But yeah, that's what's going on over here. I'm still in the midst of my transformation of transforming most of this into perennials. I got so much yarrow back there. I love that pink and white variety. It's a mix, and I can't remember where I got the seed from, but I think a lot of seed companies sell that mix. But it's beautiful. I like those pinks. And then there is a mix that has peaches in it, kind of different peach colors, and I really like that one. And I do have one back there, but it's still really small, so I'm hoping to plant another one of that one, the peachy one for sure. There's one yellow one back there too that will be pulled out because it was as tall as the fence before I cut a lot of it out all the way in the back. So I'll be pulling that one out and starting over at the end of the season. And then let's see. I have, as I said before, lots of onions that are, it's my dog's little swimming pool. Works great. Had it for years. It's a feeding container, stock container from Tractor Supply, and it's a very thick plastic. I also have those and use them for a little raised garden beds. So back when I bought these, let's see, there's a price tag on it, 70 bucks. And it might have been on sale at the time. So somewhere between 50 and 70 bucks you can get them. But they work really well as little raised flower beds or planting spaces. You have to drill holes in the bottom if you want to do that with it, obviously. But that one is the dog swimming pool, which they love when it's really, really hot. So lots of onions here, onions galore. My corn did not really take in this row. It got overtaken. Oh, this is still more onions that I need to weed, it looks like, in here. But my corn in this row, because I had planted corn all the way down to the shed almost. You know, there was tulips here before. There are still tulips there, but they were all gone over. And the straw sprouted, and it took none of the corn, but maybe I got 3 little stalks here actually came up. And then I planted corn all along the back fence. I had all this corn seed that was pretty old, and I just wanted to get rid of it. And 2, the neighbor's dogs, 2 dogs are always barking at me back there and jumping on the fence, on my fence. And so I just wanted an extra barrier. But a few of them, as you can see, have sprouted. And there's, on that side, on the side of that blue raised bed, there's a few more stalks. But that's more than enough corn for me. Generally, each stalk of corn produces 2 ears. And so, shoot, if I got 12 stalks, that's 24 ears of corn. That's a lot of corn for me, one person. So what I usually do with the corn is I blanch it and then freeze it. And then when I need some corn for something, or want to eat some corn, I pull it out. But it lasts me usually 2 years. If I have 24 ears, it'll last me probably 2 years, because I don't eat corn very often. But the only other thing I wanted to point out was what's going on by the shed here, because all the lilies are in full bloom. Well, I shouldn't say all of them, but most of them are, as you can see. Now, I don't know the types of these. They're getting taller and taller. When I first planted them, they weren't this tall. Everything's getting all of these lilies are just getting huge. I rarely cut these. I'll cut them sometimes just because of the pollen. As you can see, these pollen anthers have a lot of pollen on them, and the problem is that stuff drops, and if it drops on fabric, it stains. It's almost like turmeric or something. That's what it reminds me of, but it will stain. And so when I bring them in, I do pull the pollen anthers off, but as more buds open, you got to keep going back and pulling them. So I just rarely cut these. I just leave them out here. Now you can see I have this whole flush here of different colors. There's even pinks. It's beautiful though, especially against the shed. And then this honeysuckle here is blooming a little bit more. This year I'm not letting it grow wildly. Last year I let it grow. It attached all the way up to the top of the shed. But you know, I don't need all of that. So I'm keeping it pretty small, but it has a few blooms and it smells wonderful. There is a hydrangea back there that's getting very tall, and that is about to flower. This privet, this is the first time I ever saw it flower. It's been small up until this year. It just took off. This must be year 3. Year 3 they leap, as they say, but there are pollinators all over those little flowers there. Now there's a whole nother set of lilies here that have yet to bloom, and I actually believe these are the tiger lilies. As I recall, they were orange and black, like kind of striped or something like that, speckled or something. So yeah, more lilies. And in the midst of those lilies, I do have a fig tree. There's a fig tree in the middle of there that dies back to the ground every year, so I never get any figs. But there is a fig tree in there. And then the little bitty conifer that I planted, those 2 are still going strong. There's one on the other side. And then, as I've said before, this is my sedum bed. I plant a lot of taller sedum. I think it's like Autumn Joy, that kind of variety. There may be 2 different varieties in here, but I use it for a cut flower usually. It makes a pretty good cut flower. Sedum lasts for a long time in a vase. It also dries fairly well if you wanted to use it for that. Here's my other fig tree. And then Where's the other little conifer? There it is, over there. So give that 3 years. It'll get pretty tall, and it's beautiful. The weeping habit of it, the structure, I love it. Another really tall hydrangea, and then one I just planted that looks sad because I just planted it. That one's a quick fire fab, but I'm sure with some water and time it'll be fine. I did prune up all of these hydrangeas. These are all limelight primes as well, like the ones in the front. So I have a hedge of these as well. So I just kind of limbed those up and pruned them up so they're more upright, kind of against the fence. And then here is just, you know, my little mini orchard, I call it. All my fruit trees, a lot of my fruit trees, I didn't say all of them, but a lot of fruit trees interspersed with flowering shrubs that I use. All of these things for all the shrubs I use for cut flower bouquets, yeah, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think these didn't, I don't have much fruit. I did get a couple of sour cherries. Nothing I can do with a couple of sour cherries. And there are a couple of pears on one of these trees. I don't think I got any nectarines this year. I actually had nectarines, a couple of nectarines last year, and they were really good. So, and I'm not sure about the plums. I don't think I saw any plums. But that's the only thing I just wanted to point out in the backyard. The corn, the lilies, the tomatoes. That's what I got going on back here. And my little citrus trees are still going strong that I have in my little area here. This little citrus one here flowered, so I don't know if anything's gonna grow on it. I literally just planted these. This one's flowering now. So one's an orange. Might be a cara, and then I have a lemon and a lime, and then my 2 fig trees that I bought in from outside last year and put them in my grow tent, and then I bring them back outside, just seeing if that'll help me get fruit, because the ones in the ground, like I said, keep dying back. I need to clear out all my green stalks. The only thing really going good in there right now, it's gotten too hot for all these leafy greens, so the only good thing I have left are green beans. I planted all my green beans in these green stalks, and then herbs, but the rest of that stuff has to come out. It's all bolting, flowering right now. And then over here in my other rows, outside of the blackberries, I've planted a lot of annuals. That back row is all blueberry plants, so they're still very tiny. I just planted them last fall. There are about 8 blueberry plants back there, and I probably will add even a couple more because there's some space at the end. And then these are all annuals. I got a lot of cosmos, goldenrod, status. Back there, tons of zinnias and tons of sunflowers, which are my main. Zinnias and sunflowers are my main summer flowers, along with, I throw in cosmos for the wispiness. I do use status quite a bit when I can get it to grow, and then the straw flower. I'm trying to think of what else. Snapdragons, they're kind of going to peter out soon because it's too hot. I do have that large Dara that's growing, which I'm very happy about. I usually struggle with Dara, getting it, Queen's Anne's lace, those things, getting those to grow, which is odd because dill grows like nobody's business around here, and they're kind of similar. But as you can see, this Dara, I love this one the best because of the pink. The blooms are different shades of pink, you know, and so they go really well in cut flower bouquets as well. And yeah, there are a few snapdragons that needs to be cut, so I'll combine those snapdragons with the Dara, and actually then I go through and just find anything else that might mix with it. So I'm probably going to add some of that straw flower, definitely going to add some of that pink yarrow, and then I'm going to go over and get the flowers from those hostas that I mentioned and add those. And then I could even, not saying that I am, I could even add in some of my herbs that need to be cut back because they're starting to flower. So that huge section over there in front of the Mary statue is oregano. That's about to flower, but that looks good in a cut flower bouquet when it flowers, and also has a nice pleasant scent. So, and then I have some coneflowers. Of course I can add those in too if I want to that shape. But yeah, so that is the goal, is with my flower planting, is to turn it hopefully into a perennial garden. It'll be easier for me to maintain physically, and also I'm just making bouquets for myself and occasionally for a friend. So you know, when I come out and just kind of have enough for 2 or 3 bouquets a week, that's sufficient for me. And then as time permits, when it's cooler, I will come out again and prune all of these other berry bushes back. I pruned them once kind of at the beginning of the season, but now that they fruited and that's done, I want to prune them back again, just because I like keeping them pretty small. Now they will most likely fruit on the new growth that's been put out this year, so I'm careful in the pruning. I don't prune off all the new growth, but I prune it back to where there's just, you know, a few inches of the new growth, and then I remove some of the branches or canes, just to keep it at a manageable size. Otherwise it would be a jungle if I didn't do that, and which would not be appealing in any way. There's actually a hydrangea in there. I'm not sure which one. That might be berry white, that's budded up and about to bloom as well. So the next tour I do probably won't be for maybe a month, maybe towards the end of July, and at that point I'm assuming all of the hydrangeas for the most part will be blooming, and so that'll be a different picture. It's nice as you go through the season, the garden really shifts in terms of what's in bloom, and so you have to think about that as you're planting and planning. What's going to be blooming at what time? Are there enough things flowering? Is there enough color variation? You know, so those are all things you think about. But by planting different types of perennials that bloom at different times, and then sprinkling in annuals as needed, I've gotten a good method, I think, for making sure that I have something blooming throughout the season. You know, it might just be 1 or 2 things, but something's better than nothing. So what will happen too here is that all this peony foliage, you can see it's like a sea of green over here. A good deal of this is peonies that's here in the center section. All of that will die back to the ground when it gets cold, so this will be like empty. And then what I usually do is I will mark the spots. So I have these little tiny little tutor cage things that I'll put on the spot, or I'll put a stake in the ground, something to mark that that's where a peony is going to come up, so I don't accidentally dig it up or accidentally step on the little heads once it starts to emerge from the ground in the spring. So yeah, that's kind of how I deal with my peony garden. And then in terms of all of this stuff, I usually will just cut everything back. I will pull out the yarrows that I want to get rid of that are too big now, but everything else, besides the hellebores, because the hellebores will bloom when it's cold, but I will go through and remove any dead looking leaves. Everything else I will pretty much cut back kind of close to the ground, to prevent diseases, and just because that stuff in the winter is going to die off anyway, and then it's more debris for me to have to clean up in the spring. So that's what I do for my garden. Then all these onions will come out obviously when they're ready, and like I said, under there is all tulips, and so that will just lay with nothing until the spring. Over there by the lilies, that's a big tulip and allium area, mostly tulips. That has nothing in it now. It'll lay like that until next spring. I'll just cover up the ground over there with some fencing or something to keep things from digging out my tulips. And in terms of my blackberries, what I will do is remove a number of the canes. I usually will leave about 6 canes per plant. That's how I just keep it, like I said, keep it manageable and at a size I want to deal with. So yeah, I'll leave like 6 of the new canes, the new growth from this season, not the old ones, because the old ones typically don't continue to fruit, at least not for me. You know, there's less and less fruit on them each year, and some of them they only fruit 1 year, and then once they're done, they're done. And so you can tell the old ones from the new ones. The old ones usually are pretty thick, and they're kind of they turn a color like a dark brownish color, almost like a tree branch. whereas the new ones remain green for the first year, and so it's easy to tell which is which. But that's how I deal with the garden basically back here. All right, so that's all I got. That was a mouthful. I'll try to edit this down. It got longer, much longer than I wanted it to be. But I will edit it down, and until next time, bye bye.